Mark up here. Sometimes we got to click him on. No, he's on screen. You're going to have to turn on your camera and mic, Mark.
Is the question of the day, are you hungover?
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah. All right.
I don't think you have to ask why. I just think if you were wearing green yesterday, you probably might be a little slow today.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we're going to go live on LinkedIn here, and then as soon as that, we'll get started on Remo. So need to play the little intro on LinkedIn here.
Ron Hicks said he had to go, but
yeah, Ron had to go. That's awesome. Thanks everyone once again for joining us on the Exit Your Way Roundtable for our Thursday event. So great if you can attend with us here on Remo. We were having some awesome conversations this morning. I heard about gardening, I heard about technology, I heard about a whole bunch of different things and marketing and oh man, and of course the infamous yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, so y'all have to talk about St. Patrick's Day. But if you're joining us on LinkedIn there, just say hello. Let us know where you're coming from. If you got questions throughout the presentation, we can address those, and we'll be hitting the chat on LinkedIn as well. But I am really excited today because Mark just dropped off the screen, but he was on the screen just a second ago. I'm excited today to get Mark Scrimenti. He's going to be talking about jobs to be done, the jobs to be done theory. And Mark and I talked about this a while ago. And when I started researching it more, this is really cool. And the nice thing about this is Mark actually used this in a business to help better identify what their customers really wanted. And I thought that it's so cool when we get somebody that actually took a theory, applied it in real life, and we're going to see what they learned from it. So I'm excited to get going there and get going on that. So Mark, welcome.
Thank you.
Well, we don't have to start yet, Mark.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I know it's going to be a great presentation, but we have to let people go around and do our introduction. But just welcome today.
Thank you.
Answering the door in the buff, right? I mean, you're like, hey.
Yeah.
I'm so eager to get started.
I know.
Let's go get dinner first. You know,
it's going to be awesome. So
all right,
we're going to do the rounds. We're going to let everyone introduce themselves like we do, and then you can answer the question today. So Troy, great to have you here today.
Good morning, everyone.
Tell us how you're
Troy
helping people.
Nice to see everyone. I'm with Alliance Bernstein. My job is to make money meaningful, and so we work with wealthy clients, families, individuals, and I focus my practice working with entrepreneurs and business owners, helping them get the most out of a transaction, having them think through what the transaction looks like, and comparing deal terms back and forth, and what are they missing from a transaction? How do they find strategies to reduce taxes and put buckets of money where they need it to go? That's what I do.
All right. Awesome.
I want a bigger bucket so I can put more money in it.
It's good to see everyone. I love this. This is my favorite part of the week.
Good. Awesome, Troy. Thanks for being here. Whoa, we forgot the question of the day with Troy though. We can come back to him for the question of the day if we have to. If we have time, I'm sure we will. But
what is the question?
Professor Pete, awesome.
We don't know yet.
You don't know what the question is?
Okay, now Troy, this is the question of the day. Now this is a little weird one. If you could spend a day talking to any animal, what animal would you choose, and what would you hope to learn from that animal?
Gosh, why do I get stuck with this question first?
He's going bear. He's going bear because of the bear market.
What animal? It would be the what's the animal that check to make sure winter's coming?
Groundhog. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be that groundhog. Does this stuff really work? Are you really assigned spring or winter? Maybe that's the thing I do, because it'd be great to understand that. What a waste of a tradition would it be if it's not true?
That's awesome.
Puxatawny Phil, come on.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
it's got to be true.
Yeah. But that would be something to learn whether he really knows if it's going to be or just like it's a warm day or not.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome answer, Troy. Great. Oh, Pete, tell us about yourself so everyone knows, and then you can answer the question.
Sure. That's a really interesting one, Damon, and good morning, gentlemen. So I'm Professor Pete Alexander. I empower working professionals to go from mentally and emotionally overwhelmed to better protecting their health and handling challenging situations with grace. Thinking of that, it's a tough one, but I would probably say an orca. And two reasons why. I think they're very graceful, but when I was a kid, I read all about how orcas can take on full-size great white sharks. And so I would probably want to ask the orca, what does he or she think about going against a great white shark, and have they ever killed a great white shark? So that would be my question.
That's a good one. Awesome. That's something that would be interesting to know. What are they feeling when they do that? Yeah.
What do they taste like?
Yeah. Awesome, Pete. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Con, good to see you, my friend.
Good morning, guys. Good morning to everybody.
You guys got a bit of snow there in the Colorado area last week, correct?
Yeah, on the way out, winter dumped about 3 feet of snow in my backyard. So so that was fun. But the beautiful thing is, once I got out and shoveled that thing a little bit and was able to look at the blue skies above, it's nice.
Good.
Nice.
Good. Well, tell us a little bit about what you do, and then you can answer the question.
Okay, what do? I am the owner of Fresh Biz Solutions. It's a talent management and consulting practice. And what I do is I help organizations and individuals achieve their goals, get their best out of themselves. I'm a change leadership and performance improvement expert, and I typically engage with organizations either to do custom workshops and sessions with them, training programs, or meetings. I either do executive coaching with them, or I can also consult on their talent management system. So every dollar that they spend is a dollar well spent on their people. That's kind of what I do.
Awesome.
Now, as far as an animal, it's an interesting question. I think, I'm going to go a little different. I'd love to talk to an eagle and see what does the world look like from that quiet space up high when you're looking down and you get that whole picture right in front of you. And you look at the futility of us running around scrambling, trying to figure things out on a day-to-day basis. And you can just peruse and look at the big picture from there. So that's what I would ask.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it actually is one of them I thought about when I was doing it. Great having you here today, Con. Thanks so much.
Good to be here, guys.
Jacob Warren, good to see you.
Yes, sir. Good to see you all this wonderful morning.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit. The beard precedes you. Just gonna make sure it's out there. Andrew.
Yep.
Got his back.
Yeah,
Andrew trimmed his up.
Oh man, anyways, I do IT services for businesses, helping simplify technology, but not losing the capabilities of it in doing so. The animal that I think I would choose would actually be a Kodiak grizzly bear. And it would be just what is the conversation, because the question is, what conversation would you have?
What would you hope to learn?
I would ask, what is it scared of? And learn how it overcomes whatever it's scared of. Because if it can overcome that, then dang, you're a Kodiak grizzly for crying out loud.
You wouldn't think there'd be much to be scared of.
Plus I'd like to see how if my beard's bigger or not.
There you go. Awesome, Jacob. Great having you here today. Thanks for being here. Great. Corey, wonderful seeing you again, sir.
Good morning, guys. So I'm having a wonderful year so far, and let's see so Corey Hansen, Hot 100 Business, and I partner with a select few businesses on accelerating mainly, equity, revenue and equity. And got my latest one that's looks like they'll make the Inc. 500 after starting up 3 years ago. So
nice.
Yeah, we're having fun. And as far as an animal, I used to like tigers when I was a kid, but as far as if I chose to be an animal right now, I think I'd pick a bird. And, honestly, I don't think I'd want to talk about anything. I just want to fly around.
There you go. Good. It'd be an interesting viewpoint. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Good stuff, Corey. Thanks for being here today. Awesome. Brad Smith.
Good
How
morning.
are you today?
I'm good. Well, almost good. Still recovering from vaccine, but there we are.
There you go.
At least you didn't have to shovel any snow.
I was really pleased to hear that I didn't, the 2 or 3 feet of snow they got up there. No, thank you. That's why I'm here. So what I do, I carry a question in the back of my mind for all of my clients, which is what is possible? Where are you right now? And where do you want to go? And what's possible beyond that? And what's it going to take to get you there as soon as we can? Those are the questions I ask always. And
awesome.
My goal is always, it's like, okay, you think you can get to 100% growth? Good. What's going to take you to add another 0 or 2? So that's the fun part.
Yes.
And let's see, my first thought was an orca. My second thought was a bald eagle. It's like, okay, fine, good. What I really, and I've searched down through kind of the whole list. The animal I would want to talk to is an owl, to see how they do with wisdom, and if they actually are, they're just really selective in the words they say.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, Brad. Well, thanks for being here today.
Thanks.
Pleasure as always. Bobby, great to see you here. First time visitor, fellow Northwesterner. If you look out his in the back there, it looks like a beautiful forest, like we have so much of up here. And we've actually had sunny skies up here. So tell us a little bit about what you do help people with, Bobby, and then we'll have you answer the question of the day.
Well, thanks for allowing me to be on there today, Damon. And I'm glad that Kurt hooked us up.
Yeah. Awesome.
I just shared with the group. I don't know. There might have been a few that weren't on, but work with the companies in helping them save money on their shipping and freight, whether it be ocean, air freight, small packages, truckload, less than truckload. We make no decisions for them. They make all their decisions. We just give them the data and the information to make those decisions. And so many people try to put us in a box like, well, you're a 3PL or you're a logistics company or you're this, or you're that. No, we're strictly a freight management company that provides information to a client, and they're on a month-to-month retainer. We do a freight study for them up front at no charge. So
nice.
Cool. Anyway, thinking about the animal, I think about the animal that's in my daughter and son-in-law's home, and it's a 7/7 elk, and this big old elk. And my daughter's friend said, Jennifer, why in the world do you put that? Let Michael put that big elk head mounted in your living room? She said, it's Michael's house also, not just mine. But I'd like to talk to, and they named that elk Elvis. I'd like to talk to Elvis and ask him, what if you were a little bit faster and Michael had not shot you? Where would you be today? What would your life look like today if you hadn't been shot and living in my son-in-law's house?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks, Bobby, and great to have you here today.
Thanks.
Welcome, Bobby.
Yeah. Andrew, awesome to see you again.
You too. To answer the St. Patty's Day, I don't wear green on St. Patty's Day anymore because you just see my head floating.
Yeah.
In the green screen world. So it's just a head bobbing around the screen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in business, our goal is to teach companies strategy first, how to really build their marketing and sales as a company and convert every touch into voracious advocates for their brand. And in terms of animal, if I was going to talk to an animal, I'd be asking my dog what the hell he's barking at when I'm trying to record a podcast, or if they're bluffing, to see whether or not I can turn the stimulus check into more money.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, if people didn't know, Andrew is our resident video wizard. And if you need, he's got an online course that I've taken that is really good and shows you how to do this stuff. So
Thanks, Damon.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you so much for being here this morning, Andrew.
Thank you.
Always awesome. Always awesome. Alon, my friend, awesome to see you this morning. Oh, we're not hearing you for some reason. Yep. No, still not hearing.
1, 2, oh.
Now we got it.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. All right. Yeah.
So good to see you guys, really. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy that I could make it. And Andrew, how you doing, man?
Now Andrew's on mute.
Thank you. Doing well. Good to see you.
Damon, how are you, man?
Good.
Forget about everybody else for a second, man. How are you?
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
You feel the hug I'm sending you right now?
Yes, I do.
All right. Awesome. Good. So I came in a little late. I heard something about animals and business. So
yeah. So you tell us about what you do, and then I'll read the question, and you can answer it because I know you're going to answer it well.
Oh, thank you. What I do is I work with companies that have long sales cycles, sophisticated solutions that require higher level of relationship, trust, and openness with their customers. And I just work with them on how to do that from the human element side of things through a methodology that I developed called emotional relevance. In 5 days, it's going to be exactly a year since I left corporate world. I was pushed out of the corporate world. Thank God I was. I was in the travel industry for those who don't know the story, but and I'm happy to report, Damon, that one of the reasons that I haven't been showing up on an ongoing basis because I'm freaking busy with paying customers, and that's amazing.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's awesome. It's great to have you here today, Alon. And the question of the day is, if you could spend a day talking to an animal, what animal would you choose and what would you like to learn?
Oh, very cool. Wow. Okay. So I didn't have too much time to think about it, but my instinct goes with a lion. And the reason is because are you really that scary? Like, what's inside? And 2 is you're a cat after all. You love to be cuddled. You love to be, all that stuff. So I would love, for that side as well. So I would just I think it would be cool to hang out with a lion for a day and talk to him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good choice. Yeah.
I want to know, are we talking to the male lion or the female lion?
Well, good morning, Mr. Ira Bauman. How are you, sir?
Good. Where's my hug, bro? That's all I want to know.
Dude, I miss you, man.
We haven't talked in a while. It's good to see you. Anyways,
I think my camera do.
Male lion. Definitely male lion. Definitely.
I don't think they're that ferocious. They don't need to be. You know what I mean?
Well, I'd love to talk to them about it.
They got the big Jacob Warren beard going on. They don't need.
Yeah.
I'd like to think they're offended by being named after an NFL franchise.
It never wins, right? I mean, if they were called the Bucs, I don't know the Bucs.
Especially Detroit.
But what fascinates me is everybody's scared of you. Everybody's terrified by you. What are you really that? What do you try to convey? So
what's in your heart, right?
Exactly. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. I feel it.
Excellent. I hope you do, man. I feel your guitar over there gently weeps.
There it is. It's weeping.
There we go. Little Eric Clapton going on there. All right. Thanks, Alon. Great to have you today. So awesome. And the lion, boom. Nice choice. Nice choice. So are we finished up there, Andrew, with people doing introductions? Awesome. So we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Ira, and then I'll go, and then Mark will go last, and then he can start his presentation. So
there is someone must have come in a little late there, Mike.
Oh, bring him up. Yeah. Mike. Okay, Michael. Cool.
Morning,
and then while Michael's coming to the stage, I got April Kelly said she would on LinkedIn said she would want to be a butterfly, which I think that's awesome. And then this is Bonnie talked about being a golden retriever, because she said he sees everything I'm doing and probably has an opinion on it all. And that is so funny.
Bonnie, your golden retriever wants to see you in skates on your next video.
In skates? There you go. On next video.
She makes the videos talking about being a video.
The Goldledge videos, if you haven't seen them on TikTok and LinkedIn and everywhere else, you need to watch them. So, Michael, awesome to have you here today. Great to see you. And your library, man, that library just keeps getting bigger, I think.
It does.
He wants to be a worm because he's a bookworm.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I got to keep moving the files around so no one can see them coming and,
Yeah. So tell us about yourself, how you're helping people, and then you can answer our question of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael Godlewski, Achievement Unlimited. I help people get real clarity around their vision, mission, and purpose, help them create that big BHAG, that big strategic plan, and then help them get the right people on the bus in the right seats to achieve those goals. And then actually help them, develop those leaders at every level so that everyone's on the same page and they learn, they're all playing from the same playbook. So they have a whole set of tools and that they can retrieve and learn to, manage their people better and help everybody reach their potential.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. It's funny you said that, because I was just reading something about I was reading Donald Miller's brand story again, and he talks about how important it is just to have your single line tag. It's not really a tagline. He talks about it like movies have a single sentence that explains the movies. That's how they pitch them. Yeah. And he talks about using that in your business and how important it is to have everyone in your entire business be able to recite that, because it explains so much and gives people so much congruency on where they're at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. So if you would spend a day talking to animal, what animal would it be, and what would you hope to learn?
Oh man, it would have to be my 2 chocolate Labrador retrievers who are now in heaven, but I want to know how they stay laser beam focused and in the present moment all the time. I mean, they're not worried about the future or the past. They are in the present moment. And it just blows me away. And also where do they learn how to be unconditionally lovable? I mean, you could kick them across a football field and they come back wagging their tail and And the third question I was asked is, where do they get the energy? We used to take them out to a creek and throw, sticks in the creek. They'd swim out, bring it back, and do that like 100 times. My arm would be ready to fall off, and they're like they're dying, right? And they're wagging their tail and throw it again.
Yeah.
So energy, being in the present moment, and unconditional love. They're the 3 questions I would want to know the answer to.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Andrew, I should ask you those questions. You look like a monk today.
Yeah, he's got the shirt. You got the shirt on for
That's
you.
Right. That's right. Oh, there you go. Yeah. A Trappist monk, a Benedictine. Yep.
There we go. Thanks a lot for being here, Michael. That was awesome. Okay. Awesome. Good stuff. All right. So, Andrew or Ira, you guys, who wants to go next?
I think we'll let age go before beauty.
All right. Off you go. Old guy.
I'm not that old.
I would, thought about that a little bit, but my wife did a lot of studies with a guy who's an expert on crows. I think And they're very, very smart. It's really interesting work. One of the smartest animals there is. They're scavengers, and they're they kind of survive around people, and they know what's going on, and they have the way they connect and everything. I think it'd be really interesting to sit down and chat with them a little bit about how their world works. But yeah, so that's where I'm at.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. So Ira, what about you?
Man, I don't know. I've been kind of thinking about this as everybody gives their answer. I think I would say dog, but I don't want to. We just had dog as the answer. So yeah. I'm gonna go a whole different direction. I'm gonna go with a rat. R-A-T, rat. And people go, why would you want to talk to a rat? You can learn a lot about people by what they throw away, what they discard. And so, rats have access to everybody's trash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That would be interesting.
They say one man's junk is another man's treasure. One man's junk.
A lot of insight there.
That would be interesting.
It'd be a different conversation. I imagine they'd have a New York accent.
So, have you watched Ratatouille then?
Ratatouille.
Kind of a stereotype.
The rat could not control me because I don't have the hair to pull. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's what it is. How about you, Damon?
Well, mine is a dog, but it's my dog. My dog, as Michael talked about, my dog Casey that I had before actually our little dog. She was a hunting dog, and a very specialized hunting dog, in that came from a long line of won pheasant hunting championships. Her parents both did, and it was interesting because she didn't have much of a personality, but when you put her in that hunting situation, there was just. That dog could find a bird that someone had hit that every other dog ran by. And I just would just be so enthralled to understand how in the hell can you smell that thing? Because I would take her to trials, and they would have a bird that was not hurt or anything, but they would tie up so it couldn't fly, but it would run. And I took my dog to a trial one time, and this dog, she ran out like she was going where we were supposed to, and she took a big loop. I'm not kidding. It was 300 yards and came back around behind me because she had lost the trail, and got back on it again right beside where they let it loose, right beside us, and found that bird, the completely different area from where she was before. It just always has blown my mind as how dogs can do this. I would love to see what the hell they were smelling, how they do that. It's just fascinates me. And honestly, I didn't think about it until now. And when Michael said that, I was like, that's the answer that I have to get.
I wonder what smells bother dogs like that.
I know. I just with a million times better than us. What's it like? What is it?
It might be bad. It might be really bad.
Yeah, exactly.
With all of us, it might not be good to have a good smell nose.
You walk by somebody with like strong perfume. What's that like to a dog with that much stronger? It's like, whoa, God. It just gave me a killer headache. But anyway, that's enough of that. Mark, go ahead and tell us about what you do, and then answer the question, and we will get into the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm a fractional COO. I live in Chicago. My background is in e-commerce operations, product development, customer service, digital marketing, and I work with visionary CEOs to help grab a hold of their vision and then just run with it and execute on it. So I've got my first client. I'm looking for additional clients, anybody who's got a vision, particularly a mission-oriented company who's looking for somebody who can help clarify that vision and then develop a strategy and then just execute on it. That's what I do.
Awesome.
So to answer the question, a lot of people took, my answers. I mean, I thought about the bald eagle. I thought about the dog. What are they really feeling? But then I thought about a monkey. Monkeys are closest to human beings on the evolutionary scale, and they're social. But I kind of want to know, like, what's the level of dialogue between monkeys? What are they actually talking about? Like, what makes them laugh? Like, what's a monkey joke? Like, what would make a monkey laugh? And just to get a sense, like, how sensitive are they really? Or is it slapstick humor? Is it a coconut over the head? So I think monkeys, chimps or orangutans, bonobos.
That's awesome. That's awesome, dude. That's such a good one. Oh, great. Monkeys. Well, Mark, you know, it's great to have you here today, and I think it's really relevant in the age now that we've all got thrust into the increasing our digital presence and having to sell digitally and all this kind of stuff. And then when we started talking about the jobs to be done theory, I did a little more research on it, and you said you'd used it before. So I'm really excited for you to share this with us and kind of talk through the concept so we can see it, because I think it sounds like a really practical way to help understand your customers better so you can provide them more value.
Yeah, thanks. I really think it is, and I'm excited about it too. When I discovered this, it was like a light bulb went off for me, and I'll talk about that. So I have a little presentation. I'll bring it up if you don't mind me sharing my slides.
Yeah. Go ahead and share your screen, and then we'll get it broadcast out like we need to. Awesome. I did it automatically, so we're good.
You can see that all right? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Cool. There we go. Hang on here. Let me get this arranged. What happens if I put this in presentation mode?
We will see.
Let me try that. Now then I can't see anything. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it like that.
All right, cool.
And so I'm going to start by giving you an overview of the book. So it's kind of an executive summary for the first 10 minutes or so. Bear with me if you've read it before. For those who haven't, I think it'll help you make sense of the real world examples I'm going to talk about later. And you know, plus you're not going to have to read the book after I do this, because
there we go. That's even better.
I'll cover it so well. And then I'll talk about my own example, and then do some Q&A at the end. So here we go. Sorry, the screen's a little messy here. All right, here we go. So jobs to be done theory was first detailed in a book called Competing Against Luck by Clayton Christensen. It's the story of innovation and customer choice in 2016. So Christensen is this Harvard business professor, and he was the author of The Innovator's Dilemma, which was a classic work from 1997. That book introduced the concept of disruptive innovation, which has been called the most influential idea of the 21st century. He came up with it. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Okay. So in The Innovator's Dilemma, Christensen talks about a focus on big companies who are getting disrupted and what they can do in terms of their competitive response. In Competing Against Luck, he explores the other side of the equation, the disruptive innovators who uses jobs theory to explain how and why successful innovation works. The idea of competing against luck is that successful innovation is not just a matter of getting lucky through trial and error, you know, hitting on the right product at the right time, which is a common misconception. Instead, it's about doing the hard work of talking to your customers, asking the right questions, and letting them tell you what really matters to them. So jobs theory says you need to find out what causes your customers to make the choices they do. And if you can figure that out, you can predictably come up with what innovations your customers will not only want, but will be willing to pay a premium for. All right, so what is jobs to be done theory? It's basically a framework for identifying, for developing innovation opportunities. According to jobs theories, your customers are not buying your products or services, they're hiring them to get a job done. In doing so, they're implicitly firing something else, even if it's non-consumption. So the right question to ask is, what did you hire that product to do? And, you know, of course, this begs the question, what is a job? All right, so jobs theory defines a job as the progress a person is trying to make in a particular circumstance. There's that old saying that customers don't buy a quarter-inch drill, they buy a quarter-inch hole. And that's the job they're hiring the drill to do. So understanding the job is to understand what consumers care about most as they struggle to make progress. And by discovering what jobs your customers are hiring you to do, you can then work to design products, services, and marketing experiences that do the job better than any of the competition. All right, so Christensen calls the first time we buy a product the big hire. And then each time we use the product after that or buy it again, it's a little higher. And in the book, he talks a lot about quantitative data and how it can be misleading. And this is a good example. So most quantitative data systems track the big hire, but they can't or don't track the little hires. For example, how many apps have you downloaded on your phone that you never use? If you're so you made the big hire, but not the little hire. If you're the app maker and you're just tracking downloads, you may think your product is doing a great job, but only a consistent series of little hires like daily usage can confirm that the product actually does the job. So I can only see you guys out of the corner of my eye, so it's a little weird. All right, so what are the components of a job? They're multi-layered and complex. They have functional, social, and emotional dimensions. And here are a few examples. Is it easy to use? What will my friends think if I bought this? Can I trust my kids with this person? If you're hiring childcare, that's an emotional job. The job circumstance. It involves all the interrogatives, the who, what, where, when, why, as well as the decision-making timeline process and influencing factors. Progress is always relative to the specific circumstance or context in which it arises, and the circumstance is more important than any buyer characteristics. So in jobs theory, success comes from making the job rather than the product or the customer the primary unit of analysis. Successful innovation. The promise of jobs theory is that it can make innovation a reliable engine for growth by showing you where and how to find real innovation opportunities based on a clear understanding of causality versus simply casting seeds in hope of one day harvesting fruit.
Okay, so when we talk about this, I got a couple of questions here, and I don't mean to interrupt, but
that's fine.
My brain works as I had to ask why before, or otherwise I will forget. So
please do.
Well, you're really in this. You're saying that innovation comes from trying to figure out what they want to what your customer wants to accomplish with your product or service. Is that
right?
What we're kind of saying?
Right. And why they're choosing your product over another product.
Okay.
And that's the key.
Okay.
And that comes through qualitative research from talking to people.
Yeah.
Which I will get to.
All right.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. It did.
Okay. If there are any other questions, please just jump in anytime.
Yeah.
All right. I'm almost through this slides part, and then I'll just cut over to in vivo. So successful innovation, identifying the job is just the first step. After that, you have to, there's a next slide here. After that, you have to design a solution. And ideally, you're not just creating a product or service, but engineering and delivering a whole set of experiences that address all the dimensions of the job, and then integrating those experiences into the company's processes. Steps 2 and 3 are critical to creating competitive advantage because it's easy to copy products, but it's much harder to copy experiences that are well integrated into your company's processes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So what job would I hire a milkshake to do? Now, this is a famous example from the book. It's the first job that Christensen describes. So in the mid-90s, a colleague of his was hired as a marketing consultant for McDonald's or some company, we don't know who it is, a fast food customer, to sell more milkshakes. And until that point, all the restaurant's efforts had been focused on the product itself, which is a very conventional way of looking at innovation. So they tried different flavors, making it chunkier, making it chewier, making it more chocolatey. They changed the price. But, they tried everything, but nothing moved the needle at all. So then Christensen and his friend decided to try this different approach by asking, what job arises in people's lives that causes them to come to this fast food restaurant and hire a milkshake. The first day they stood there in the restaurant for like 18 hours and just watched people and took note of everything. What time did they come in? What were they wearing? Were they alone? Did they buy food with their shake? Did they drink it in the store or leave? And what they noticed is that there was a big spike of people who came in before 9 a.m. alone. They bought the shake and nothing else, and then they drove away with it in their car. So the next morning they came back and they started asking these people a ton of questions about why they were buying milkshakes. And pretty soon they realized that all these early morning customers had the same job to do. So they all had a long and boring drive to work, and they just wanted to make the commute a little bit more fun, keep themselves occupied, and stay awake. So they weren't hungry yet, but they knew they would be hungry in about an hour, and the shake was enough to stave off their hunger until lunch. You know, it takes a long time to sip a thick shake through a thin straw, so it gave them something to do during their commute. It's not the healthiest thing, but it's not a Snickers bar either, so they didn't have to feel too guilty about it. And, you know, it fits right there in the cup holder, so it just does the job. And then the researchers asked them, you know, what other competitors they tried. And they talked about bananas, you know, but they were gone too quickly. They weren't filling enough. Donuts, they're too crumbly and sticky, you know, gets all over the steering wheel. Bagels, you know, they're too dry. People had to drive with their knees while spreading the cream cheese and so forth. So none of the competitors did the job as well as the milkshake. Therefore, these consumers hired the milkshake instead. And this illustrates one of the key implications of jobs theory, is that it changes your understanding of who your competitors are and what your product category really is. So now that's not it. That's not all. There was a second job that milkshakes were doing in the afternoon. Believe it or not, in the afternoon, people were hiring milkshakes to do a different job. It was mostly parents trying to connect with their kids to take them out for a special after-school treat. You know, something they could say yes to after a long week of saying no to their kids about everything. And the authors described this job as placating your kids, you know, connecting with them and feeling like a good mom or dad. So in this case, hiring a milkshake was competing against stopping at the toy store or finding time to play catch or shoot hoops with your kid. So the innovation implications for the milkshake jobs were, first, milkshakes were hired for two very different jobs in two different circumstances. So one size fits all approach wouldn't work. And then here are some possible innovations the researchers inferred from the discovery of these two jobs. The screw on top idea is mine, because if that shake ever spills in the car once, I'm probably not going to do that again.
Yeah.
All right. So jobs are discovered through customer interviews, and there's no one right way to do it. So that might be disappointing for some people who are looking for an algorithm or just like a script they can use. It's more art than science. It can be very meandering, slow, and painstaking. It's very much a conversation. You're going deep with each customer to build a timeline of their decision-making process and get a detailed narrative of their struggle for progress, sort of like a storyboard. And what you end up with is rich and complex. It's a huge number of data points from a small sample size. It's more like a story than a set of statistics. And sometimes customers are unable to articulate what they want, and even when they do articulate it, their actions often tell a different story. So you have to be able to hear what the customer isn't saying, and that's part of the interview process. It also helps to have a beginner's mindset when you go into this, to avoid making assumptions as you walk the customer through the whole process. And Christensen says, only by constructing this story can we innovate in ways that change the ending. So that's the thinking there. Finally, analyzing the interviews. When that's all done, you have to put all the interviews together and analyze them. So you're searching for patterns, and when you hit upon a job, it's like a flash of insight that feels true. It just tends to make intuitive sense. And often the solution of the job seems obvious in retrospect as well. So this is where I'll hop off and stop the share and just kind of talk from my own experience.
Yeah, because it's super interesting when you looked at the milkshake like that, and you go down into and think of it as a job rather than a product, right? And you start to go, okay, what is it doing?
Right.
Rather than what is it?
Right, exactly. And what is it doing for this specific set of customers in this circumstance?
Yeah.
So it can be different for different circumstances.
Yeah.
So how am I doing on time here?
Oh, we're great. We're great. Yeah. Yeah.
So I became a jobs theory shortly after the book was published in 2016. I was the head of operations for $100 million+ e-commerce company that sold music gear online. And we had over 1 million customers and over 15 years of behavioral and transactional data in our data warehouse that we could analyze. I mean, we hoarded this stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, we only analyzed a fraction of that. Yet outside of the call center, we never really talked to any customers. Despite the fact, like so many companies, we paid lip service to being customer focused, which I think is a common thing. So personally, I was dying to talk to customers because 1, I knew we would learn a lot from them. 2, I really believe that everyone in the company should be talking to customers on a regular basis in order to serve them better. And 3, I really wanted to break the habit of mere conjecture and highest paid person's opinion when it comes to deciding what we should work on to keep our growth going, like what we should work on next. So the process was I interviewed dozens of customers face-to-face for an hour each, recorded the sessions with their permission and transcribed the recordings. Then I poured through a mountain of transcripts, looking for patterns, noting insights, coming up with new hypotheses. Then I sat down in a conference room with anyone else in the company who was willing to read the book and the transcripts to compare notes. That was the only requirement. So, I'm sure not everybody read the 400+ pages of transcripts. So I had some lenience there, as long as they, made a good effort, showed a reasonable effort.
Yeah.
But we all sat down together. I think it was important to get everybody involved, and came to consensus eventually about the main patterns or themes that we were finding. And so the results confirmed a lot of things that we suspected, but it also yielded a number of counterintuitive insights. It yielded a ton of insight informing strategy and tactics pretty much on every level: the overall business, marketing, product development, product management, advertising placement, a lot about advertising placement, targeting, format, content, customer experience, customer service, internal messaging, pretty much everything. And some of the insights were tangential to the job itself, but still very critical to acquiring new customers, optimizing for sales conversion, and improving profitability. So I'll give you a few examples in a minute. So what job were our customers hiring us to do? A lot of our sales growth was coming from offering no interest payment plans, no interest ever. So the one job we were doing consistently for the vast majority of our customers was helping accelerate their musical development and or fulfill their goals as a musician by making the best gear affordable to them in ways that minimized financial risk, felt fiscally responsible to them, and made it easier to justify their expensive hobby to themselves and or their significant others. So, we figured out these were important social and emotional components of the job. So I'll give you a couple examples. So one was the developing musician. I loved talking to people. So one theme that came out of the research was this idea of a virtuous cycle for the young developing musician. So, you pay the $1,200 to get the Gibson Les Paul that you always wanted because you want to sound like Slash or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's $1,200 that you may never otherwise have at one time, because you can afford $100 a month for 12 months, which is what the payment plans made possible. And then you love the guitar so much that you practice more and you get better, faster. Plus you start discovering all these sounds you didn't know you could make with a guitar. And then it increases your musical palette as well as your thirst to explore other new gear. And the virtuous cycle continues. So it was great for us because they couldn't get this offer anywhere else. And people routinely said, as long as you guys have what I'm looking for, why would I shop anywhere else? So our word of mouth and loyalty was off the hook. Now, here's another example of a person I talked to, is the collector. And this is another common customer. We're doing the same job, but a little bit different of a different emphasis. I talked to this guy had 35 guitars. And he probably wasn't a very good guitarist, but he fit a common pattern. He played in a band when he was in high school. Then life happened. So he got married, got a job, got promoted, moved around, had a family, maybe had a divorce. And then 25 years later, in his mid-40s, he emerges and finds himself with some disposable income and time on his hands. So he wants to go back to playing, his first love, mostly just to relax on weekends when he isn't working. and he wants to play some of his favorite music from back in the day when he was still a player. But it would be sacrilege to play Dave Mustaine's Megadeth songs on anything but a Jackson guitar, because that's what Mustaine played. So he has to buy the $2,400 Jackson for that. And then when he's in a Metallica mood, which is like once a month, he has to play the same ESP model that James Hetfield played or whatever. So he has to buy that as well. And that's how you end up with 35 guitars and counting. And this guy was making decent money, 6-figure income. He was like the regional manager of a Costco or something. So he didn't exactly need the payment plan, but it was like, why not? It's a smart thing to do. Plus, his girlfriend or wife really appreciated it because it stretched his dollar, it never put cash flow at risk. And as long as he could take her out to dinner once a week, she was okay with the collection. So that, that factored into the decision-making as well. Just a couple examples. The practical implications for us, we knew our payment plans were a big driver, but we learned a number of things from the jobs theory research that helped us optimize our offers and refine our marketing to do a better job of reaching our customers, getting them to convert, and optimizing for profitability. So I'll give a few examples. I want to leave time for questions and answers.
Yeah.
So maybe just a couple minutes here. Run through these. So one is kind of tangential. We realized everybody is doing their customer research on YouTube. Shouldn't be a big surprise, but it didn't matter how good the content was on our site. They were going to YouTube anyway. So why not divert some of our expensive content resources to creating pre-roll ads on YouTube and partnering with or sponsoring YouTube influencers in the music gear space instead of putting another video on our product page that nobody was going to watch. So that was a diversion of resources. Another one was, customers wanted to know how soon their payment plans would be paid off and how much more they would be eligible for once they paid it off. Usually they had an existing starter plan for low credit risk or high credit risk customers. And others wanted to be able to play off their plan sooner or change the due date without having to talk to somebody because that's embarrassing, or make a double payment because they had a good month. So, and they prefer not to have debt hanging over their head. So those had all sorts of implications for user account interface changes, email sequence, transactional email sequences, where we put some of that information and marketing content in the transactional email, like, hey, you're almost done, and in 3 weeks, you'll be eligible for this much more. And by the way, here's some things that you might like. So that was another thing. I think messaging all around, we were underselling the value of the payment plans and we were talking about them the wrong way. We'd spent a lot of time trying to explain the difference between this and a house credit card, but people already got that. Like, that's not what they needed to hear. They needed decision reinforcement messaging, and as well as information regarding their future purchase potential.
Yeah.
And they also wanted greater flexibility on the payment plans so they could make sure to pay them off and keep this thing going. So that had other implications too, in terms of like how we, and they didn't want longer plans either, which was an assumption that we had made. Some people wanted shorter plans because they didn't like the burden, of having the anxiety of having debt hanging over them. So that had implications for like how we show the plans and price stories and then checkout and so forth. Anyway, a lot more I could say, but I'll leave it at that.
Well, it's good. It's good stuff though, because it looks like, the conversations that you had with customers showed you what they were trying to do, and what you just described. Think about what you described was not about the products themselves. So much about was about experiential. You're allowing them to follow your passion and play the same guitar that your heroes played. You're allowing them to be able to be a better guitarist faster because of this plan, and you make it affordable, make it cash friendly for the people and stuff. It's not about the product, and that's the thing that I really have come to learn in the past few years, is that we talk about our products, but it's generally not what our customers care about. It's about what that experience creates or what it solves. It's not the product. They don't give a shit about the product. I mean, they don't care that you can change the tire on your car in 35 seconds. They just say, hey, my tire's fixed and I can keep driving.
Right.
and how to market it, just like you're marketing that, is really about the fact that we minimize your interruption with a flat tire, because it can 35 seconds, you can be back on the road and going again. That's all they care.
Right.
But it's interesting. So if people have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I think this is pretty interesting stuff. Anything come to mind with you, Andrew, Ira?
There's a ton there, I think.
Oh, Ira dropped off.
No. Yeah, no, I think this is great because, I think it's really fundamental. Listening to the customer is really what I'm, and it's, it seems like that's exactly, we should be doing that all the time. I mean, but it just doesn't happen. That's my experience is you may be listening, but you're not listening. You're not hearing them.
I was going to say before I dropped off, the milkshake thing, for example, right? It could have been anything.
Yeah.
It could have been a combination of things. It was, I think, a good observation that they figured out they're all from the same place. And then, you know what I mean? So there was a lot of the factors in there. And when you're a business and you're trying to figure out other products or other ways to scale, it's not always the obvious things. You know what I mean? And you don't have to do the same stuff just because that's the way you've always done it. There could be complementary products or, anyways, a lot of different variables there. And when you have someone like Mark who's looking into it for you, that could be a game changer. So
well, Corey,
I'm impressed with the process for sure.
Yeah, it's cool. That's cool. That's why when I started reading about it, I was like, this is interesting. And then when you showed the milkshake example, I realized how little I knew about it, and I do need to read the book. But
it's worth reading.
What the company, Corey asked, what was the company response to the project?
That's a great question. I kind of anticipated that, and unlikely that anybody will be watching this, but it was mixed. I would say, I would say I had the buy-in of the CFO from the parent company, who was a Harvard business grad himself. So he had Christensen as a professor. So he was interested in this research. But I think, we came up with a ton of insight, and yet it felt a little bit like lip service in the end, because a lot of the resources that we needed to actually make these things happen were diverted to something else. They were committed to another project that actually was not a moneymaker. And so that was extremely frustrating for me because, long story short, moving into a B2P platform, leveraging the success of the e-commerce operation to build this other business. I'm like, and all the resources were going into that. It's like, look, we have all this insight, all these ways that we can improve the experience for our customers and do a better job. And there isn't, I got some resources, but not enough.
Yeah.
So you need a permanent champion who's going to advocate for this stuff continuously. And you need buy-in throughout the organization, especially at the very top. If the CEO is just kind of, here's something, it's interesting, but it's one of many interesting things. It's not going to work. Like, you really have to commit to it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for explaining the jobs to be done theory. This is interesting as heck. And I'm going to go back and think about how we can use it, how our clients can use it, because it does give you different perspective and knowledge about what your clients really are paying you money for.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And knowing that is a really solid information, because like you said at the beginning, you can make a much more compelling and more valuable offer to them.
Right.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, we're at 9:00 and awesome presentation. Andrew, take us away, man.
Yeah, no, good stuff, Mark. Hey, appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah,
My pleasure.
that's really good. I think we have a live stream coming on later this afternoon. We're going to talk about, the buyers of companies.
Yeah.
And it makes me think too, is why am I talking about that? Let's bring on one, because, that's a classic case of where, you're not listening to the customer. If you want to learn how to sell your business, listen to the customer, talk to the buyers, see what they're looking for, what they want. So,
I was thinking about you guys, though. I think you have a really good job defined, though.
Mm-hmm.
This idea of helping a business owner sell their business and exit their way. Like, that's a pretty good job definition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
And it's fun too. So anyways, we're running out of time and we're doing okay. Yeah. 1 minute over. Not bad. That was great. We're going to hang around, going back to the tables as we usually do. So if anyone wants to hang out and chat a little bit, it'd be great. Great to see you all.
Awesome.
And we'll see you again next week.
See you next week, everyone. Thanks so much. Thanks for those listening on LinkedIn. We're going to drop off the live there, but we're going to the remote tables to talk a bit more. Thanks, everyone. We're going to drop that. There we go.
Cool stuff.